Didi. Manchester United, Chelsea. It was a fascinating game. For the first half, Chelsea looked outstanding, despite the fact that Morata isn't really doing it. He can't score a goal. He's lost his confidence, and he doesn't look to have the physical presence to do it anyway. But in the end, United got their 3 points, and they deserved them in the end. Conte's been, put in a very bad position by whoever's running the show. It's a lady, actually, a Russian woman, who's in charge of football affairs at Chelsea now. The Manchester United riddle and the Pogba part of it in particular. What's your take on that, Didi? I'll give you mine briefly. I think Pogba is hugely overrated. I don't think he has a position, and I don't think he has the instincts or talent to be effective for a big club like that.
Well, I wouldn't throw the towel in with Pogba right now. I think he's had a tough time. I think his confidence is shot to bits. I think he saw that when he came on the other week when they played in the Champions League away to Seville.
Yeah.
I think he did a bit better at the weekend. And I feel the less responsibility you give him, the more effective he will be. I think he's a powerful runner. I think he's a skillful player. He can nick a goal. He showed in Juventus. He probably played in a better team at Juventus, in relation to the strength of the league.
Yes.
And that's why it probably was easier for him to shine. He's still pretty young. And I just think if you bring a player for that amount of money on the wages he is, I think you've got to back him. And if it's a philosophy problem that Mourinho says, I want hard-working players, I don't think he's ever been that. He's never been that hard-working player who wins balls and is box-to-box. I think defensively he can and is a liability. But then a bit similar to Yaya Toure, I think. Toure was a similar player, I think, in that respect, who liked to go forward, who liked to drive with the ball and finish himself and get in the box. City found a position for him for a number of years. He was one of the most instrumental players for them. And I think Pogba can do the same. I think the problem is that in this United team at the moment, because they don't really try to play football, I think it's very hard to shine. And this is why I would still defend him now. Of course he has to do better, no doubt about it. But I think the way they play at the moment, when you watch a game in Seville, where they can't get 2-3 passes together, for a player who likes to be in possession, it's very hard to shine. And I think that's the biggest problem with Pogba at the moment.
John, Pogba, and as Didi said, I mean, the United's setup away to Seville was, park the bus, basically. And they have some poor players. I mean, Smalling and Lindelof is not a good player. They signed him for 31 million. They don't really have the defenders to park the bus, but it was very, very... I was watching Bobby Charlton in the stand. Alex Ferguson was there. It's not the Manchester United way, and Mourinho, I wouldn't blame him if he felt... I don't think they have the players to go out and attack.
Well, I think it's a bit of a myth with the Mourinho parking the bus thing. I think he's a very, very good defensive manager. I think he's done it a couple of times this season at Liverpool in particular. But generally speaking, over the years, the reason that he gets the name of being the defensive manager is because he defends well. Like Arsenal, for example, when the team is attacking, they scored a goal, so they start the game again. With Chelsea, they don't let the team score, so they're defending more than other teams.
Yep.
But if you look at Mourinho at his best with Chelsea and that, they scored more goals than anybody else to go and win it. So I think that's a bit of a myth. On the Pogba situation at the moment, I think it's Pogba came with the reputation of being the complete midfield player. That was said by Mourinho. Now, the fact is, he's not the complete midfield, never was. When he was at his best, as TD alluded to it, Juventus, he played wide on the left. And they had Pirlo in the team to take on the responsibility to knit things together and give the ball to Pogba and other people, of course. Now, Pogba is actually playing in a position, or is asked to play in a position at Manchester United that Pirlo played in.
Yeah.
He can't do it,
no.
Eamon. So he'd have to get into a position where you can't give him any responsibility. He hasn't got it. He hasn't got the head for it. He hasn't got the ability to do it. So if you played him wide on the left, a wide on the right, and the problem in Manchester, they don't have a Pirlo, they don't have a De Bruyne, they don't have a Modric, and they need somebody like that to knit it all together to get the best out of Pogba. You can't give Pogba a position in the middle of the field where he's responsible to knit things together. He's not able to do it. He hasn't got the head for it, Eamon. He has ability either wide or left to do the certain things that he was talking about there. But he's been asked to play in the responsible position in Manchester United. He's not able to do it.
Right. And I suppose the question arises, where are you going to play him? When you have Sanchez, who likes to operate wide on the left, you got a wing back, probably Ashley Young. There's no real space for him out there. Or indeed, I can't see that the guy has a position.
Play him wide on the right, Eamon, instead of the left. Play him wide on the right.
And what would he give you?
Well, he'd give you what he gives you on the left-hand side.
Which is what, exactly?
Well, he can get on the ball, he can make goals, he can score a few goals. He has talent, Eamon, but not a responsibility. If you've got those players, you say Sanchez on it, well, play him on the right, but don't give him any responsibility of doing it. Get somebody in the team that can get the ball to him in that position and to other people as well.
Didi, I can think of 30 or 40 players playing in the Premier League, certainly playing in Europe, who are better than this £90 million player. Am I mad?
No, at this moment in time, I probably can't dispute that. I probably can't. I probably have to agree with you that there's a lot of players out there at the moment who are better and who play better than him. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you bring a player like him in, as John said, he's not the complete. He's not a ball winner. You know, the less defensive responsibility you give him, the better he is. And surely they must have known that, even though Mourinho made that statement, surely they must have known that. Now, if you do bring him in, because this is a 150 million, 200 million package over the course of his 5-year contract, you've got to give him the best opportunity and possibility to shine. And at the moment he doesn't get it. If you play him in a midfield two with Matic does all the dirty work, but you still have to work, because Man United at the moment is not a his team. If you've got 70-80%, if you put him into Barcelona's team where he's got 80% possession, I think you see a different Pogba than now United. Now, if you play him at United, you've got to give him a position for a length of time where you say, you play here for the next 10 games, see what you can do for us, see how the result is, see how it does, see how he does. You've got to put him in the number 10 role off Lukaku, or play him out wide where he can kind of do what he wants, where he's got somebody behind him. If he loses a ball, there's always people behind him who cover for him, and then he can use his energy going forward. At the moment, they don't do this, and this is what I don't understand. If you bring a player like him in, ask him to do something which he's not good at, or is not really his game, it's madness for me, because this is a record transfer. If he carries on for the next 3 months as he did in the last 6 months, who's going to buy him? There's always takers.
Yeah.
But, this is a lot of money down the drain, because nobody will pay 100 million. Having said that, in this current climate, you never know what Paris or Madrid are willing to pay for a player like him, even if he had about 12 months. But you've got to give him the best opportunity and possibility to shine. Yeah. And for me, at the moment, he doesn't get it.
Okay, well, here's my take on it for both of you. I think when United last summer, they needed a statement signing. They needed to show that as a club they were still capable of getting the big players. And Raiola, Pogba's agent, there was stories that Real Madrid were coming in for Pogba. Now, I don't believe those stories, but it certainly made it attractive if United could take him, despite the fact that Real Madrid were interested. They paid 90 million sterling, which is a huge amount of money, and I think Woodward made that decision. I don't think Mourinho. I think Mourinho's too smart a football man to make that decision, and now I think they're stuck with him. And I put it to both of you, John first. John, Alex Ferguson had Pogba for 3 years as a youth player at the club. He let him go for basically, I think, 800,000 pounds or €1 million. I don't think Alex Ferguson thought he was good enough to be a player. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let him go for buttons.
Yeah, well, I think that makes sense.
And I think what we've seen in the last year suggests Ferguson's judgment was right.
Well, we don't know, but I think he was always the type of lad that was a very cocky lad, very confident in himself, thought he was a better player than he actually was, and still does, until recent times, till Mourinho reminded him that he's not doing his stuff. So it's a confidence thing with him, that I think he has this confidence in himself, which I think is a false confidence. And Ferguson recognised this early on. This is a cheeky type of guy I think he'd come across, was Ferguson. I'm not going to keep him and let him go. Don't think he's going to make it. Now, when you refer to Woodward doing the deal at the end of the season, now Mourinho went along with it, Eamon, and did say this is the complete midfield player. Now, whether he believed that or not, I think you think it's doubtful. I think it's doubtful. And I think what's happened now is that rather than go along with being the complete midfield player, as Mourinho said, it's actually costing Mourinho, or could cost him, his job, the way he's playing. So I think he's turned on him now, which might not be the best thing either. But I think Mourinho is a great football guy. I don't think he ever believed that this is the complete midfield player.
Right.
I think he went along with the signing to back Woodward up. That would be and I think that's what you believe as well.
Didi, just a final word on that idea that if Alex Ferguson was right, would be my bottom line.
Well, I think there were a few more things to add, because I think there was a time where, as John alluded to, that he probably thought he's further in his development than he was. I think he was late a few times. Yeah. And I think he just made a decision based on what he saw, where he said, this guy wants X amount of money, or in my opinion, a stupid amount of money for a 17, 18-year-old. And we can't do it. We are Manchester United, and either he signs, will be off him, or he goes. And if he made his mind up, he made a decision. Yeah, and I wouldn't say he was right, because hopefully he's got another 10 years ahead of him, and I hope for his sake that he proves people wrong. But at the moment, I've got to say the jury's out how good he actually is.